This is the Fifth Estate Winning Headlines, your media police post. In this segment, we summarize some of the headlines that you might have missed this morning. We also take a look at the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 21st of July 2021 and I am Miss K.
I'm too.
And I am JM. In case you missed the headlines this morning, here they are in the Daily Nation. A rip-off as schools sneak in extra fees. In the Standard, inside One Kenya's power plan for 2022. And in the Star, Mudavadi, Weta, Moi, Kalonzo split on Raila unity bid. Ms. K, why don't you kick us off with the Standard?
Definitely. So according to the Standard, plans are at an advanced stage for the formation of an alliance to possibly face off with William RUTO or Raila Odinga for the 2022 presidential election. But just like they did in 2017 under NASA, the members of the One Kenya Alliance are forming a committee to select their presidential candidate. I, however, think that they're going about this the wrong way, and I would like to offer some unsolicited advice to Musalia Mudavadi, Kalonzo Musyoka, Gideon Moi, and Moses Wetangula. I'd like to tell the members of the One Kenya Alliance that politics is war. And if any of you want to win, and winning in this regard is becoming the presidential candidate, you must not respond to events. You must instead direct the events.
Yes.
Why? Because if you force people to react to your initiatives, you are in control. But if you react to their initiatives, then you are being controlled.
Yes.
So one of you, say for instance Kalonzo, should do a radical thing like declare yourself the presidential candidate and force the rest to react to you.
Yes.
A declaration of presidential candidature will be the ultimate act of control. It will help the maker of the declaration to lose the subordinate tag that you all carry, the one that says we work best as running mate. And the maker of the presidential declaration will occupy a dominant position in the alliance and in the eyes of the public. One of you should do this quickly, because One Kenya Alliance does not have nomination rules. And in the absence of nomination rules, the law of the jungle applies. This law provides that he who finds it first keeps it. So if you become the presidential candidate through self-proclamation, two things will happen. One, the other co-principals will denounce your announcement, and two, they will have to tell us who the candidate really is. And just like 2017, when we did not need a committee to tell us that Raila would be the NASA presidential candidate, you already know who is the first and best among you. You do not need to conduct countrywide campaigns or market yourselves and gauge your national appeal and popularity. So announce the One Kenya Alliance presidential candidate and stop wasting our time.
Absolutely. What they need is to be a little bit more
Decisive.
Decisive and firm.
firm and just man enough.
Or can you choose it for them?
Yeah.
Maybe they do
Now-
do best as number two.
I haven't yet commented on the loss of the Kiamba by-election. President Uhuru Kenyatta appears to have been completely hands-off in regard to politics. And to some extent, this is true. He has placed Siasa on the back burner. And that is because politics is transient, whereas development, which is his core priority, is tangible and it's permanent.
Correct.
But as the late Donald Rumsfeld was fond of saying, the absence of evidence is not evidence of absence.
I love it.
And that is to say, just because Uhuru does not appear to be interested in politics does not mean that he is not executing a series of political schemes. In fact, on the contrary, there have been two schemes at play here now by the president in regard to these by-elections. Scheme number one has to do with squaring it off with the opponent, William RUTO. In this game of political chess, the president, in competing against his opponent, the DP, has given up a pawn to save a knight. In other words, the president has surrendered a tactical advantage in order to achieve a strategic victory. Put differently, the sacrifice of a part to preserve the whole. This trend has always been at play in competition, and it was brilliantly executed by the West German national football team during the 1954 World Cup, in which they emerged victorious. So here's how it went, 1954. In their group game against Hungary, the West German coach, Sepp Herberger, benched 7 of his best footballers. as a result, you can imagine, the team was weak throughout that entire game. And indeed, they performed dismally.
Yes.
They were humiliated and beaten 8-3. This is a pretty spectacular defeat, as you would know in the game of football.
Yes.
But it meant that the rested players had a huge physical advantage over Austria in the semi-final, as the Austrians were exhausted after their dramatic 7-5 victory over the Swiss in the previous round, in the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
So, with a rested team in the semi-final, Germany then won 6-1. And they went on to meet Hungary again in now the final round,
Yes.
the final match,
Yes.
where they put their best foot forward and defeated Hungary 3-2. Scheme number 2 has to do with cleaning up house. As I said a few weeks ago, part of the reason the president has been hands-off with the by-elections is because he's testing the political machinery.
Yes.
He's looking for areas of weakness with a view to making drastic changes to the entire machinery. But to make the changes, he needs a pretext. And this is known as the fall guy stratagem.
Yes.
To engineer things to go badly so that you can birth a new order.
Yes.
And so some of Uhuru's closest advisors and political operatives within the party have failed to prove their worth time and time again now.
Yes.
You know, with these series of by-elections at the constituency and the ward level.
Yeah.
Or maybe they have been set up to fail. And for some people then in the circle of Uhuru, the curtain will soon be falling.
James, I could not agree more. How do you lose with a margin of 500 votes?
510.
And you fail to do some magic, you know. Anyway, today I will speak about William Ruto.
Yeah.
And if William Ruto thinks the so-called dynasties are his only obstacle to power, he must think again. And we say this because Kenya's interests are very much global interests. Vodafone, Diageo, Unilever, IBM would be interested in who takes care of their interests post-2022. They'd want to ask if they can trust Ruto with the presidency. They'd ask questions like, who is this man? Who is this guy? Where did he come from? Will he protect us, or will he hunt us down like Hugo Chavez did in Venezuela?
Yes.
And we ask these questions because we forget how much stake the West has in this country. For instance, over 70% of wealth at the Nairobi Securities Exchange is foreign. Safaricom, whose market capitalization is 10% of Kenya's GDP, reports directly to London. In fact, the money you and I use is printed by De La Rue, a British firm. You know, 50% of all the tea the UK consumes comes from Kenya. In fact, Kenya's horticulture and cash crop earnings would be nothing without British consumers and European consumers. To put it differently, Kenya's economy would be nothing without the West. So a point here, if these interests feel threatened by a Ruto presidency, they will fold. But more importantly, if these interests were threatened by Moi, they won't watch as it happens a second time under Ruto.
Yeah.
If Mobi Telea was done under Moi, they don't know if there will be a Ruto Telea under Ruto. And therefore, if William Ruto thinks 2022 is about elections, he is wrong. It's about interests. It's about big money. And we very much doubt Ruto will look after big business. And if he does, what are the chances he won't have forced his way into those interests? And forcing his way here means nationalization of the assets.
Yes. Now, we've got a 3-part criteria that we use to assess the headlines. Are they topical, speculative, repetitive, or groundbreaking, and thoughtful, or just plain lazy? I think the Daily Nation is just plain boring.
Sad though, we have to bear in mind that the parents are really struggling. They're having a very extended school year with only about 2 weeks of holiday.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, and then the Standard and the Star. Mudavadi, Weta, Kalonzo split on Raila unity bid. That's a Star.
Toss it.
Toss that one.
Yeah.
Okay, and what about the Standard?
Toss it too.
Toss it also. Okay, so we have no winning headline. Then on to the cartoons, political pieces that we call cartoons. What do we have in the Standard?
Standard. We have a caricature by a gentleman called Kaso of baby Kenyans, holding a lit match, and they're being pulled back by an adult called Past Experiences. And right there is an oil tanker that has fallen and is leaking oil. And then in the style of Gado, there's a little man there who's asking, how many more must perish? And I think the analysis here is that over the weekend, another explosion capsized an oil tanker, and it killed about 13 people on the Kisumu-Nairobi highway. So it's very sad that we know that this is a flammable liquid, and yet we go there and perish. So,
you know, poverty is the root of all transgressions. That's what the Jews like to say. And in this case, that's what was driving them to scoop up all this fuel. It's a sad case. Anyway.
I'd say we bank it, but it wouldn't be our winning cartoon.
Absolutely.
Okay, what's on the Star?
The Star, you have, that's a cartoon by Ozone. It's a drawing of Jubilee carrying a Jubilee ballot box and UDA carrying a Nufukara Daima Alliance ballot box. And the caption there, you see you in court. I think this is with regard to Jubilee. The Jubilee candidate in Kiamba has gone to court to contest the Kiamba by-election results. I think two things here. This should be water under the bridge. Really. I mean, perception-wise, it's over. Game over. It's game over. But second, maybe, just maybe, the courts will rule on Jubilee's favor and we'll have another by-election. Maybe we can correct that what happened in Kiamba.
And maybe win by 5-10.
Maybe we will see some better competence this time around.
Absolutely. Okay. In the Daily Nation, you have a caricature here of two very smartly dressed gentlemen, David Murathe and Raphael Tuju. They're playing the violin and cello, respectively, but instead of using a bow to play, they're using saws. So you can imagine the horrendous sounds that the president is hearing there, which are reflected. It says, Jubilee by-elections, do it. He can't really handle this terrible music. It's bringing a lot of pain to his ears. So I think that's generally the state of things.
Man, if the president,
if
the president showed up with his candidate at State House, then someone somewhere dropped the ball.
He better win. He
better win.
Yeah.
And so I mean, this thing excuses, it is this guy or it is that guy.
Yeah.
Absolute nonsense. Just.
Okay. So whom do we award the winning cartoon?
I'm partial to the string quartet. Duet. String duet. They do look very dapper.
Can we just throw them?
I think, you know what, I think we toss them all.
Yeah.
I think we toss them all. Yeah.
We can toss them all.
Just toss them all. So no winning headline, no winning cartoon. I want to leave you with some words here from Karl Marx on change, and I'll paraphrase him a little bit here. He says, force is the midwife of every old order, pregnant with a new one.
Woo! Force.
Have a good evening.
God bless.